Well, welcome back to Soda City Live. Two exercise science professors at the University of South Carolina are working to help curb childhood obesity through some technology that's designed specifically for kids and some pretty cool research that they're doing. So joining me today to tell us all about it is Glenn Weaver and Bridget Armstrong. Thanks so much for being here today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
We said earlier, I'm going to just say it now so we don't make the mistake. The word I was looking for before is it's really an epidemic, childhood obesity. And we were joking that like we're so used to saying pandemic that we didn't want to mix those two things up. But first, I just want to start with you, Glenn. Maybe give us some more insight into like how it's an epidemic and then also how you're using kind of activity trackers to maybe help curb that.
Yeah, so one in 4 children in the U.S. are overweight or obese, and 1 in 5 children in South Carolina are as well. Wow. So it affects a large number of children, and it's related to other non-communicable diseases like diabetes. So we're trying to figure out ways to curb this epidemic. Right. And to the second part of your question, activity trackers and how they would address it. Well, the short answer is they don't really address it. There's a lot of reasons that children may become overweight or obese. And activity trackers help us understand maybe the behaviors and things that may lead to overweight or obesity. So it's like one small portion
part of
that,
it,
right.
But just to gain a little more maybe data there to help find some solutions that could work.
Correct.
So another thing I know that you're working on, Bridget, is this thing called a patch device, which I know nothing about. So kind of explain that and how you're hoping it might help.
Sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of different devices out there that are sort of made for consumers. We think Fitbits and Apple Watches, but we don't really know as researchers how exactly they're taking the data that's coming from our bodies and turning it into things we can use, like heart rate or how much you slept.
Right.
And these devices are not really made for kids. So they can be distracting and their kids' wrists are so small. And so because of those two different things, what we wanted to do is work with our colleagues in engineering to say, can we actually create our own device that measures heart rate and how much kids are moving so we can help monitor how kids sleep, how they move around, et cetera.
Yeah, so this would be specifically designed for kids then.
Exactly.
Is it a wearable, like what you would see like a bracelet, or is it, when you say patch, I'm thinking it's just like a patch.
Kind more like that. It actually right now is affixed to the chest.
Oh, okay.
When we work with little kids, we see that they really don't like having things on their wrists or even their ankles. So we're trying to sort of see where we can put it on kids where they're not distracted by it, but it's still comfortable. So currently it goes on their chest.
Okay.
It's sort of taped there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. And I know you gave us some insight, Glenn, into like why this is such a problem in the United States, also in South Carolina. But what prompted the two of you, because I know you're kind of working across both of these projects together, to really pick this up and start researching it?
So why wearables?
Yeah.
For a lot of the reasons that Bridget was talking about. So we have these pains in research where we have all these devices that are designed for adults and we can't use them for kids. And so how can we improve on the things that exist? Can we develop a new device? Can we unlock the potential of devices that are on the market, which is kind of the study that we're doing, looking at kind of the underlying metrics from devices like Garmin's and Fitbits and seeing if they can predict better sleep and physical activity of children. So we really, it was by necessity, right? So necessity is the mother of invention. So we saw that we couldn't measure these things well in kids and said, well, we think we can address that.
Yeah, so let's try to do it. I mean, I know you're not there yet because right now, like you said, it's just a small piece, but like once you kind of get all this data and metrics, what do you do with that after? Because you made a good point. Like we get all this stuff, adults even, from our Fitbits, but like what do you do with that data then?
Sure. I think there's a lot of different things we can do, and that's what's exciting about it. So what are the things that I'm excited about is to really understand patterns of how kids move and how they sleep. We all sort of have a unique way of going about the world. Some people like to be more active in the morning and some more active in the evening. I'm interested in sort of how can we capture those patterns so that we can help families and help schools design environments that help kids have optimal movement patterns so they're getting that physical activity, they're not sitting more than they need to be, and they're getting that good quality sleep at night.
And maybe just going off of that, Glenn, what do you think are some of the major challenges that kids are facing these days in like restricting their movement activity and leading kind of to obesity.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that all of us struggle with, not just kids specifically, is that we've engineered movement out of our environment. So we park right next to the building. We walk right in. In schools, we may not be moving as much as we've moved in the past. So a lot of it is an environment that the kids are in, not just with activity, but also with foods as well. So our foods may be not as nutritious and healthy as they were in the past. So a good bit of it is the environment that we find ourselves in.
Well, hopefully get to a part like you were saying, Bridget, if you get all this data and then maybe work with schools, like you said, to kind of create more movement or optimal ways to get kids moving. But I do want to get, as we wrap up here on time, you are kind of recruiting children right now for a study. Will you walk us through that, and we'll pull up the details here on the screen? Yeah,
so the study is for both the existing consumer wearables and Bridget's new device that she was talking about. If parents are interested, what we're doing is we're bringing kids into the university. They run through about a 40-minute protocol where the kids play, capture the flag, run with us, walk with us. We throw some devices on them and get the metrics off of that. If folks are interested, I think there's a QR code up on the screen right now.
We just have it up there right now,
And there's a short screener survey that they'll go through to see if they're eligible, and we'll give them a call.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for being here today and telling us all about what you're doing. Thank you for doing it too, and please keep us updated, especially with that study there with the wearables.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Soda City Live. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes.